Yes, they do use, public policy makers do use the research that's done in this area. And let me give you a specific example right now. It's especially in the United States. The whole issue about whether or not to allow e-cigarettes or vaping. There are some who would like, and here's where ethics would be used a lot. Some would say it's a bad thing no matter what, so outlaw it. There's some research that has already been conducted where when you outlaw vaping, unfortunately the people who were using e-cigarettes and vaping to get away from regular cigarettes then go back to regular cigarettes. And so one of the things you need to look at here is which is worse? Would you rather have someone vaping or would you rather have someone using regular cigarettes? And so there the policymakers have to look at. Now, unfortunately, there are some people who are using vaping to put marijuana in there, and so that becomes a kind of an interesting problem. But in general, yes, I think the research that's done on various things about cigarette use, alcohol use, marijuana use, and gambling, public policymakers do take it into account. Now, sometimes they take much more of their revenue than some of the effects, but yes, it's used. One of the things that Ignatius, the two things when you do the spiritual exercises, which is with Jesuits our spirituality and the way we conduct our lives. There's two things. One, finding God in all things, but the other thing that Ignatius really emphasized is that you look at the particulars of a situation and then you go to the general. You never start out with a general rule and then apply it to somebody in the particular. But you look at where is the person at right now, what do they need, and then you try to address the individual person. We call it corus personalis. And so, for instance, in the example that I gave with e-cigarettes, I think one of the things, rather than just outlawing vaping, you might see, all right, this person right now they would desperately like to get over regular cigarettes. So for that person, you want them to be able to vape, as opposed to just doing away with it. And so again, notice you don't make a general rule of you should just stop smoking, you should stop vaping. You sit there and say, where's the person at, and how do you get the person to gradually move on? And I think hopefully that would be, to me, where the Jesuits and our spirituality a distinctive way of looking at ethics, rather than just have general rules. No, you look at the particulars of where people are at. Well, it's interesting. I'm not the original. The idea of disgust came from bioethicians. And for instance, when someone will say gets lung cancer, people immediately ask them the question, oh, did you smoke cigarettes? And so they think, oh, you got what you deserved. In other words, you're disgusted with that person because they deserve what they got. And so there's an element of disgust with people. Or, for instance, if someone died of cirrhosis of the liver, and the first thing you would ask them is, oh, did you drink a lot of alcohol? And therefore, there's a kind of an element of disgust with the person. And there's an element of disgust in lots of the public policy issues. So for instance, an example I would probably use right now is Facebook, where when it first came out, everybody was amazed about what you could do with Facebook and connect with people. And now, well, especially we're finding out that Facebook sold our information. They target specific advertisements at us. They do fake news. And so all of a sudden now, instead of being amazed by Facebook, we're kind of disgusted with it. And so that's the concept there.